Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Hero of Kendrickstone. This is Axter99, and we are going to be continuing our story with the choices that I've made all along so far, several of them, and I am going to be starting Chapter 4. Chapter is titled A Beast and Her Prey, and if you remember in the last episode, we had an opportunity to follow the merchant that saved us from the brigands in the streets. We had an opportunity to go back to or follow him back to his castle or keep and kind of work for him. But I decided to go ahead and stay on my own and go find an inn and I guess look for jobs myself rather than working directly for somebody. I've made this choice a couple of times now. So we're going to go ahead and start chapter 4 right after this. All right, everybody, welcome back. All right, let's go ahead and start reading this. You spend the next 3 months living out of the Blazing Sword Inn. Wow, that's a long time. The keeper of the establishment, a tough, stout woman named Frida, is more than happy to offer you a place to live as long as you pay her your rent on time. Her attitude makes it clear, if it wasn't already, that if you're going to live in Kendrickstone for any extended period of time, you're going to have to find a way to earn some money. The path of a free spirit may lead you to glory and riches in the future, but for now, you have to pay your rent until an opportunity actually presents itself. So, you spend your daylight hours working as a laborer, offering my services as an in-house poet to the wealthy, setting up as a private investigator, or actually I spend my time wandering the city and relaxing. Unfortunately, there's no options there for playing games online. Darn it. I'll be an in-house poet, I guess. Offering my services as an in-house poet. Let's see how that goes. It looks interesting. Kendrickstone is a city full of the rich and highborn, all with their own pretensions of culture. It doesn't take you long to find a wealthy merchant family willing to hire you as a full-time poet. Your job is simple enough. Write a few verses on whatever it is in fashion and then perform them in front of the family and their guests at dinner. Your employer gains a reputation for being a patron of the arts, while you get exposure and a few silvers with every performance. It's not something you're particularly good at. Your first performances are mediocre at best. Still, with each new set of verses composed, your skills with a pen and your ability to read your own words with clarity and emotion both grow. By the end of the summer, your skills have increased significantly. Once the sun begins to sink low in the sky, you return from your day in the city to your lodgings. Like any large inn, the Blazing Sword has a wide variety of accommodations, from large, opulent chambers meant for wealthy merchants and nobles to common rooms where a dozen laborers or petty craftsmen might sleep in a row of thin mattresses. The food provided is also based on your financial means. A rich resident can afford immense selections of expensive and delectable dishes, whereas the poor must satisfy themselves with black bread and sour ale. While it would normally be prudent to save as much money as you can, it might be wiser, as an adventurer, to live as well as you can afford instead. An adventurer who is well fed and comfortable is one who is healthier both mentally and physically, and that might have a considerable effect on your capabilities. In fact, living well might possibly save your life one day. So do I take the opportunity to buy conveniences, or do you save the money? Notice one of the options is blocked out here. I rent the biggest room, eat the best food, and live the high life. I can't even afford that option, so it's not even possible. I like that. I rent out a small room and eat well, 75 silver. I rent a bed in the common room and eat modestly, 25 silver. I rent a bed in the common room and eat the cheapest food possible, 10 silver. Well, I think this thing's giving me some pretty good clues that being well fed and comfortable might be a bonus. Might pay off. So I'm going to go ahead and go with 75 silver, I guess. I mean, it's giving me some pretty good clues there that's probably wise. So we'll go ahead and do that. Just hope I can afford it. Your room in the Blazing Sword may be small, but it's comfortable. There's enough space for a sturdy bed and a desk, a brass chamber pot, and a small chest for your belongings. Because you spend enough money to rent a private room, Frida, the innkeeper, and her family take pains to treat you with respect beyond your station, as long as you continue to pay your rent on time, of course. Aside from a comfortable bed and a friendly smile from your landlady, you also have good hearty meals to look forward to every day. While it's not the richest food you've ever had, a loaf of white bread and a bowl of hot spiced porridge, beef and onion stew, and occasionally game, fowl or venison, washed down with a tankard of good brown ale, is more than enough to satisfy your admittedly rather rustic palate. Your living conditions are hardly opulent, but they're better than what you're used to, and that's more than good enough. The days do not end with your evening meal at the Blazing Swords tables. You generally have 2 or 3 hours of time to yourself before you retire to bed. How do you spend them? Notice everything is completely blanked out. I roam the taverns looking for attractive companionship as my only option. Wow, okay. Alas, you have no luck. More often than not, you find yourself tripping over your own tongue or saying the wrong word at the wrong time. And you're not helped by the fact that as far as anyone is concerned, you're nobody of real importance. Well, I guess that's what I get for choosing a poet, huh? As a result, your nighttime efforts are very rarely successful. If only you had a dashing figure, a way with words, or a name worth remembering. Oh well. Well, shucks. So I'm eating decent food. I live in my own private room, but I can't get laid. Aw, poor guy. One morning, as the heat of summer begins to give way to the first cool breezes of autumn, you walk into the main hall of the Blazing Sword to be greeted by a courier in familiar livery. He brings a message from Dame Mildred, I remember her, of Son of Mercy, the night you met on the road to Kendrickstone. The message is a summons to the knight's quarters, something about a dangerous but well-paying job. You answer the call almost immediately. Well, heck yeah. After a monotony of the last few months, you will finally have a chance to go on a proper adventure. Well, that sounds more exciting than writing poems. I gotta admit that. Good day, Alexander of Forester's Hollow, was it? Dame Mildred says as you enter her sparse but spacious rooms. I've got something that might appeal to you. Interested in some adventuring work? You nod. The knight smiles, reaches into the fold of her doublet, and pulls out a letter of heavy parchment sealed in red wax. An important matter has come up. She unfolds the letter, carefully prying open the wax seal with her thumb, and shows you the contents. The writing is mechanical and nearly perfect. The calligraphy of an aristocrat. This letter comes to me from my mother, the Baroness of Son of Mercy, Mildred explains as she folds the message back up. It tells me she is in need of aid, the sort of aid I think you may be best suited to provide. Ooh, really? You want me to help your mother, huh? You think I'm best suited for your mother? Uh-huh. Your mind races. A genuine quest, the sort that once brought fame to the adventurers of old. You've so many questions. Yes, like what do you want me to do with your mama, you sick woman? What's the problem? Why can't the Knights of Kendrickstone handle it? Is there a reward? I'm going to ask what's the problem. Dame Mildred takes a moment to look through the message again. My mother speaks of a beast terrorizing the farmers working on her furthest outlying holdings. She believes the beast is a razor claw that is... I know what a razor claw is, you interrupt, perhaps a little too brusquely. It's a woodland predator approximately the size of an elk. It resembles a cross between a timber wolf and a porcupine, and is known to be exceptionally territorial and aggressive. The flowering court bred them as guard creatures. Dame Mildred nods approvingly. Yes, very good. That's quite correct. It appears your interjection has impressed her, rather than annoyed her. You imagine the creature in your head. Such a beast would certainly be a great danger to a community of farmers unused to fighting. So I say, why can't the Knights of Kendrickstone handle it? I'm going to say, yeah, I guess I'll say that. That's fine. Dame Mildred nods, her expression a combination of pain and annoyance. Normally I'd go myself, or barring that, I'd ask a favor of one of the other knights. Uh-oh, should have asked this. But I'm afraid we must be elsewhere. The knight looks out the window that shows the keep's courtyard. His Grace, Duke Leofric, has ordered us northwards to escort the tax wagon from Halliford, which will likely take a week or more. With the increased bandit attacks of late, I'm afraid such a duty is far more important than any personal request I may have. Dame Mildred hesitates for a moment as she turns back to you. She takes a deep sigh. I am unsure that you are suited for this kind of work, but if you want to be an adventurer, you must grow used to such expediences. Dame Mildred steps forward, hands on her lips. Will you take the job or not? A real adventuring job? Innocents to rescue? A powerful aristocrat offering a hefty reward? How could you say no? So I don't even have a choice here. There is still plenty of daylight left, enough time for you to get to Son of Mercy by sunset if you are lucky. Still, it would certainly not remiss for you to spend a few minutes browsing the new opening stalls. After all, it won't hurt to be prepared for anything, and you should be able to make it to Son of Mercy by sunset if you don't linger too long. I think I'll do some shopping, or I'll set off for Son of Mercy immediately. No, I think I'm going to do some shopping. I can buy stuff, cool. You head down to the markets that serve the soldiers and knights of Duke of Kendrickstone. Nestled against the high walls of the keep, they're easy enough to find. Even if the sight of thick stone fire breaks, the choking smoke of the forges, and the acrid stink of tanning fluids didn't give it away, the names of the streets themselves, Steel Lane, Blade Alley, Foslayer Road, pointedly confirm that you're in the right place. After a few minutes of browsing, you find some things that may be of use to you. Most of the products of the smiths on Blade Alley are far beyond your meager means. However, one sword is within your reach. It is notched and rust-spotted, true, but the steel seems good, and it fits well in your hand. The smith asks 125 silver for it. Obviously, a coat of mail is well out of your price range. Even the cheapest hauberks start at 15 or 20 gold. You could, however, get yourself an Akaton or arming doublet. Made of quilted cotton and reinforced with boiled leather panels, the Akaton does not provide much protection, but it may be enough to turn a killing blow into a flesh wound. You quickly note a selection of such coats starting at 100 or so silvers. Lastly, nestled between the market stalls and the gate to the keep is a small wine shop. Its owner bellows to all who can hear the virtues of his most expensive product, the skin of fine Khazari lion milk, a liquor known for its smoothness and strength. For 30 silver, you can buy it and alleviate the strains of the long road to Son of Mercy. What do you buy? Well, it looks like I don't have enough money to buy the sword or the Akaton, so I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Akaton, I've never even seen that word before. I buy the lion milk for 30 silver. No, I'm not going to waste 30 silver on that. I'll buy nothing. Thank you. I want to buy the sword. Guess I was spending too much money buying that decent room over at the inn. You decide that nothing you found is worth spending your money on. Instead, you make your way to the gates and set off for Son of Mercy, hoping the time you spent shopping won't leave you still on the road come nightfall. Thankfully, you make it all the way to the fortress without being accosted or delayed. The sun still peeks through the trees while you walk out of the forest and into the clearing before the towers of Son of Mercy. The fortress of Son of Mercy is quite unlike anything you've seen before. Its primary structures are two gigantic stone towers, one looming over each side of the road. A stone curtain wall, twice the height of the towers atop it, surrounds each tower and its associated outbuildings. Instead of blocking the road, the fortress proceeds over it. A covered walkway arches between the two towers, leaving the road further south in its shadow. Further travel on the main road would take you into the border marches, the vast expanse of the southern scrublands, and finally the empire of Coriolanus. Instead, you take a left on the smaller divergent path towards one of the gates cut into the curtain walls. Two soldiers are waiting at the gate, spears in hand. Both wear kettle helms and surcoats bearing the familiar sigil of Son of Mercy, the same one worn by Dame Mildred. "Hold," one of them shouts. "State your business." "I am here to answer the Baroness's request for aid," you reply. One of the soldiers leans forward to take a closer look. "Are you now? If you're a knight of Kendrickstone, where's your horse, your armor, your squire?" You shake your head. "I'm not a knight, just an adventurer." You see the expressions of both soldiers fall flat at that. They were expecting a trained soldier with decades of experience, and they got you. Still, disappointment or no, they try their best to make you feel welcome. After a short inspection, they escort you into the fortress. Wow. The yard of the eastern tower of Son of Mercy cannot be much larger than the market square of a small town, yet it is filled with men, women, and children, all wearing earthen hues of farmers and yeomen. Even in the dying light of the sunset, you can see the expressions of despair and anger in their faces. There are perhaps 3 or 4 dozen in all, enough to people a small farming hamlet. Your escort tells you these are the folk who fled from the Razorclaw's attacks. Oh, okay. 2 guards lead you past the courtyard into one of the thick-walled towers. There you are given a simple evening meal of bread, ale, and cheese. A bed is provided for you in the guardroom, cramped, but clean and soft enough for a good night's rest. The next morning you wake before the sun has even risen. Around you, most of the guards still sleep. As far as you could tell, only a minimal dawn watch is still up and about. You have no doubt that neither Dame Mildred nor her lady mother would approve of you dawdling about the fortress for several days as the Razorclaw continues its attacks. However, perhaps it would be best to gather some information before heading out. Request an audience with the Baroness? Question the farmers in the courtyard? Alright, go after the Razorclaw with no weapon. Well, I think I would do this one, but that might take too much time, and I would question farmers in the courtyard. Maybe I'll do that. Let's do that. It's not difficult to find someone in the tower courtyard to answer your questions. Those seeking refuge from the Razorclaw are still there, huddled for warmth around iron braziers, wool blankets, and shawls wrapped tight to ward off the early morning chill. When you step out into their midst, some of them stand and gather around you. "Are you here to kill the beast?" one asks. "I would really like to go home soon," says another. Word of your arrival has spread quickly, it seems. Soon, the displaced farmers form a ring around you, men, women, and children. They stand in silence, anticipating what you're going to say next. Will you ask them anything? "Well, I got them all here. Do I ask, when did the attacks begin? What kind of beast is it? At what time do the attacks occur?" That sounds like a good question. What time do the attacks occur? Surprisingly enough, the question gets no solid answers. Some say they thought they saw the beast slinking around the edge of the forest at noon. Others assert that the creature could only be spotted at sunrise or at sunset. One man pipes up, "It must attack at night. That's what Maud thought." At the mention of the name, a few of the farmers shuffle back, some looking over their shoulders. "Who's Maud?" you ask. The farmers hesitate. A few start to open their mouths, but shut them without speaking. Finally, a child steps forward, wide eyes gleaming under a mop of red hair. "She's my ma. She stayed behind with a few of the others," he declares exuberantly. "They're going to slay the beast when it attacks again." One of the other children quickly drags the boy back. The man who first spoke shakes his head. "Pay no mind to him, or those fools who stayed behind. I only pray they don't get in your way." What kind of beast is it? The farmers mutter among themselves. None of us have seen it for ourselves, one of the women answers. But the Baroness, she took a look at the wounds that thing cut into Jeff the miller. She said the cuts were too deep to be anything but a razor claw. The others around the speaker nod solemnly. It seems the Baroness's expertise carries a lot of weight around these parts when it comes to monster attacks. Well, I'm already here, I get everybody, so I'm going to ask them everything. When did the attacks begin? A man steps forward, gray-haired and stooped with age. It was a week ago, wasn't it? When they found poor Jeff out in the woods? The man shakes his head sadly. Cut open like a hog he was. Hold a moment, another voice calls out. One of my cows disappeared 3 days before that. We found it picked clean not far from where we found Jeff. More voices speak up, citing other incidents, other strange disappearances, and unlikely sightings. All of them within the last 2 weeks. Soon, the cacophony of competing voices is impossible to untangle. It takes you a minute to quiet everyone again. I have no more questions, obviously. The farmers slowly disperse to let you pass. Some still seem to be in a state of shock. You can understand why. It cannot be easy having their livelihoods taken away from them by a sudden disaster. Still, one of them is able to give you directions to the site of the last attacks, where she hopes a group of desperate holdouts still live. What now? I'm going to go after it, I guess. Sure. Don't want to take too much time. Alright, so you decide to head into the countryside in search of the razor claw. Following your instructions, you walk down a narrow dirt path, barely large enough for an ox cart to roll across. The ground here is raw and newly cleared. Stumps still litter the fields, and the clusters of houses you see seem rough, almost unfinished. The outbuildings, stables, feed pens, and barns, common in more settled country, are absent. This is land newly tamed, and it shows. The few people you encounter are mostly farmers, and you can sense their fear. Some look over their shoulders as they work their fields. Others stand and watch nervously, pitchforks and staves in hand. Still others stay conspicuously close to the soldiers patrolling the outskirts of their settlements. Then, maybe an hour after noon, you pass the last nervous pair of settlers and cross into a land without people. The fields here are deserted. The buildings, as rough as they are, seem even more incomplete without men and women and children around them. Finally, you come to a clutch of huts and cottages at the end of the dirt path. It is only when you get close that you see the crouched shapes in the shadows. Ooh, this is good. Hold! A voice shouts forcefully, trying to hide a quaver of nerves. Shadows shift. A figure appears from the cluster of the houses, and then another, and then another. Soon there are half a dozen wearing heavy woolen cloaks over their yeoman's garb, weapons at the ready. Weapons? Now that you look closely, you can see these farmers' primitive arms for what they are. Belt knives tied to staves, fist-sized axes suitable for chopping wood, makeshift polearms made from scythe blades and pruning hooks. They are the weapons of a desperate Matelia, not a true fighting force. The woman who called to you, tall, straight-backed, and golden-haired, approaches you. What's your business here? She demands, her hands conspicuously straying to the hatchet at her belt. I am an adventurer from Kendrickstone, you reply. The Baroness sent me here to deal with a razor claw. The woman gives you a defiant look, and replies as if your very presence insults her. Well, go back and tell her ladyship that we can deal with the razor claw ourselves. We can defend our own homes just fine. One of the men in front of you shakes his head. He has the same features as the woman, though he is stockier. Hold a moment, Maud, he interjects. This one looks like a fighter. Are you a fighter? You shrug. Sort of, I guess. I've seen a few fights. The man eyes you for a moment and nods. Then you should be able to handle yourself. Every pair of strong arms helps. The woman sighs. Very well, my name is Maud, but this is my brother Stephen. We plan to fight the Razor Claw when it attacks tonight. Will you fight with us? It's your plan. Do I ask what's your plan? Why do you think the beast will attack tonight? I'll fight with you, or I'd rather hunt the Razor Claw myself. I'm going to ask what their plan is. Our plan is simple, Maud replies. First, we'll tie up one of our sheep between two cottages, and then we'll hide until nightfall. When the Razor Claw sees the sheep, it will go for it. And then Maud smacks a closed fist into an open palm. We'll jump it! We'll keep it occupied while my brother spears it. Stephen smiles as he hefts his weapon, an ash-hafted spear, the only proper weapon in the lot. I can do it. I spent 6 years in the Baroness's retinue, and I know how to use this, he says confidently. That thing comes out, I'll stick the point right into its belly. He won't like it up there. He won't. The others within earshot cheer. You wonder if any of them will be cheering once they're face to face with a snarling beast 4 times their size. The farmers around you are clearly not fighters. Some hold their improvised weapons like farming implements they once were. When the time comes, will they hold? These people might not stand a chance without your help. Then again, you might not stand much of a chance against a Razor Claw by yourself without theirs. So will you fight with us? Maud asks again. Yes, I will. Why not? Uh-oh. Maud and Stephen break out in broad grins at your answer. The others cheer, Yay! So you shall, Stephen exclaims and pats you on the back. Now let's find you a hiding place and get set up. Wow. Maud and Stephen spend the next few hours setting up the trap. A sheep is brought out and tied to a stake at the center of the hamlet. The farmers find you a hiding place for when darkness falls and the Razor Claw is likely to strike. Until then, the farmers share their simple food with you and wait nervously for the sun to drop below the horizon. You eat your bread and cheese in trepidation, and the sky darkens and the day begins to end. Finally, Maud gives you the order to go to your positions. You go to the hiding place the farmer showed you, and you settle in, weapon at the ready as night falls. You wait. You stay still as the sun sinks underneath the horizon. The air grows chilly, and the stars reveal themselves in the night sky. It is difficult to see anything. No torches give away your position, but the night's near total darkness means it's almost impossible to see anything beyond arm's reach. The only evidence you have that your compatriots have not fled are the quiet, shallow sounds of their breathing, barely noticeable among the ambient sounds of the night. Then there is a sudden sound of rustling leaves from the forest. You grip your weapon tighter as you feel your heart begins to pound. Your quarry is close. You can feel it. A new sound grows louder and louder, the rapid beating of heavy feet against the ground. And then there is a low growl. And before you know it, you see the Razor Claw. A beast the size of a warhorse, its spines glistening in the faint starlight as it leaps into the center of the settlement. The sheep goes down with little more than a loud strangled bleat as the powerfully muscled beast tears in with its claws. Now! The farmers burst into action. From one side, Maud charges in, a cry of rage on her lips and her hatchets raised high above her head. From the other, Stephen rushes forward, spear held low and at the ready. More dark shapes join them, their makeshift weapon at hand. Will you join them? Wow, let's see. Yes, I'll charge in with my weapon too. No, it's best if I attack from range. No, I'll keep to the shadows and look for a way to strike the killing blow. And I don't understand this. Why can't I attack it with magic? I mean, I chose that I was a magic wizard, so I don't even know why this option is not available to me. It's kind of weird. Anyway, I like this. This is cool. This is a cool story. I just don't know why none of the magic selections are ever available for me when I chose to be a wizard. This is like the second time this has happened. It's like somehow it's like it changed me to a thief or something. I don't know. Anyway, what should I do? What should I do? I think I'm going to wait to strike the killing blow, I guess. Let's see what happens. I'm curious. Staying unseen is easy in the dead of night. Only the faint reflections of the starry sky light the world around you. In addition, you'll likely have little problem evading the notice of a beast already beset by your allies. No, the problem for you is getting close enough without being detected to strike the single fatal blow you'll need to land to bring this fight to an end. Your staff would be far too unwieldy for the job. Instead, you opt to draw your belt knife and hope that its thin, nimble blade will prove worthy of the task you require of it. Step by step, you make your way around the gathering of cottages as the farmers engage the beast. Ahead, you see Maud, her hatchets flashing as she swings at the razor claw and leaps away, hoping to bait the beast into attacking her. From the other side, Stephen lurches forward, his spear thrusting forth. The razor claw rolls aside. Something must have tipped it off. The beast spins about in a single twirling step. The creature assails the spearman and snaps Stephen's spear shaft with a single errant swipe of its claws. You rush in from the side, keeping to the shadows the best you can. You wait until the beast's head is turned before you rush forward, charging in for the kill. Ooh, this is good. Uh-oh, the blow comes from nowhere. Something you did must have warmed it, must have gotten its attention. One moment, you are rushing in, knife at the ready, to strike a fatal blow. The next, your head explodes in pain, and the faint light of the nighttime stars go out. Oh wow, did I die? Wow. You awake not to the darkness and night, but to the bright glare of the sun streaming through a window into your darkened chamber. Your head still aching, you sit up. You are in a bed, in a room with stone walls. The fortress sought a mercy. You feel thirsty, hungry, and nauseous all at once. You are covered in sweat. You are also not alone. "You've woken up, Alexander," observes Dame Mildred from the other side of the room. "Good, about time." "What happened?" you ask, still weak as you prop yourself up. "The razor claw happened, of course," Dame Mildred deadpans. "You're damn lucky those farmers were there. They fought off the beast and dragged you here. Well, the ones that survived did. My mother was able to get her healer to attend to you. But you've been recovering ever since. You're so full of questions. First of all, how long have I been out? What happened to the farmers? Why are you here? What happens now? How long have I been out?" The knight shrugs. 4 days? Maybe 5? I came when I was given the news of your failure upon my return from the north. You nod silently. 4 days. That explains why Dame Mildred is here. It also means that the Razor Claw has attacked on at least 3 more nights, perhaps striking settlements and outlying farms that were not evacuated. The potential cost of your failure chews on your stomach from the inside. Even so, you have more questions. What happened to the farmers? Dame Mildred frowns. I spoke to the 2 who brought you in. Your heart drops. There were 6 of them when you first met. Doesn't take much guesswork to imagine what happened to the others. They said they were told to take your body and carry you back here, the knight continues. The rest stayed behind to cover your escape. A noble decision, however foolish. What happens now? The knight purses her lips. Now? Now you rest. As soon as you are well enough to travel, I will take you back to Kendrickstone. You protest immediately, but nothing, Dame Mildred snaps. You have already proven yourself unable to complete this task, which I so foolishly offered to you. She pauses, takes a breath, and begins again in a calmer voice. That is not an insult, boy. That is a statement of fact. You are not strong enough to best the Razor Claw, and your days unconscious have weakened you further. I will not see you throw your life away in a vain attempt to prove me wrong. The Knight of Kendrickstone steps back and looks out the window, towards Kendrickstone. I'll check back on you tomorrow. Hopefully you'll be up and walking by then. Wow. What a failure I feel like. You feel much stronger the next morning after a meal and a full night's sleep. When Dame Mildred drops by again, you are indeed up and about. With no further reason to remain in Santa Mercy, the two of you depart that morning. The trip back to Kendrickstone is an easy one. The two of you encounter no other travelers, and you make good progress, reaching the gates only a few hours after noon. There, the knight leaves you to return to your own duties at your keep. You, on the other hand, make your way back to the Blazing Sword Inn. You spend most of the evening picking at your mill and ruminating on your failure. Yeah, I feel awful. This book is doing a good job of making me feel like a complete failure. I mean, I'm actually, I think I'm embarrassed just reading this. I'm like, dang, this Dame Mildred thinks I'm just a complete loser. Wow, the book's doing a good job. You're still picking at your food when you see the stout form of Frida, the innkeeper, looming behind you. You all right? She asks. You shake your head and give her a brief overview of the last few days' events. The innkeeper nods when you finish. I know that feeling. Failure is always bitterest the first time. She sits down on the bench next to you. The Blazing Sword isn't the first inn I've run. You know, she says almost offhandedly, I learned my trade in my father's inn. When he died, I took over, and I thought I knew everything there was to know. She chuckles bitterly, sadly. It took me less than 2 years to go out of business. When that happened, I felt much like you do now. You nod, and the innkeeper continues. I swore off this sort of work for a while, traveled a bit, I met Rob. It was only when we considered settling down that I took up trying to run an inn again, this time with all the lessons I had learned the first time around. That's how you started the Blazing Sword, you ask? Frida shakes her head and laughs again. No, the second inn failed too. But I learned, and I took those lessons to a new building, the one you're sitting in now. She stops and looks around at the roaring hearth and the few late drinkers still in the common room. Just because you failed at something once doesn't mean you're not cut out for it. Learn from your mistakes, do better next time, and you'll make a name for yourself yet. The innkeeper stands back up and graces you with one last smile. Just remember to pay your rent on time. You know what? I like Frida. She's pretty damn cool. All right. I mean, she wants her money, but that was pretty cool talk. Kind of gave me a pat on the back and, makes me feel better even just reading this. The innkeeper's words stay with you long after the heart fire dies and the last few folk in the common room drift off to bed. Will you truly be able to learn from your mistakes and do better next time, or are you just not cut out for this adventuring foolishness? That is the question that plagues you deep into the night. Still, you are too tired to stay awake forever, and eventually you fall asleep, thinking of opportunities still to come. All right, you know what? That chapter really advanced the story. I think chapter 4 there got really good. So, I mean, it was pretty good before, but I think it really took a step up in chapter 4 there. I'm more interested in this story now than ever. So, hopefully you guys are liking the story as well. Definitely let me know in the comments below what you think. Obviously, remember that if you want to play this game and make your own choices, if you think I'm making, choices that you wouldn't choose, definitely, go give them $3 right now. It's on sale for $2.99 for a few more days. But even at the most this is going to cost you is $4.99. So support the developer because there's not a lot of people, honestly, these days that appreciate and like games like this where you have to read, where you have to use your imagination. So, support the developer. I think this is a pretty good book, and I think this is damn well worth it. A lot of people would probably disagree with me, but hopefully you're enjoying it. Let me know down in the comments below. If you like this video as well, please give me a thumbs up. It lets me know that somebody out there appreciates this content that I'm uploading to YouTube and editing and everything else, reading aloud. So thanks so much for watching, everybody. This has been Zaxter99, and we'll see you in the next one, Chapter 5. Take care.